The Amazing Spider-Man 2 was the first superhero movie I ever saw. I was an 11-year-old in a local theater with my mom, excited to watch the film. And then, when Gwen hit the floor, the theater went silent. As Peter cradled Gwen's body in his arms, I remember turning to my mom and asking her if Gwen would be okay. Clearly in shock, she told me she would. Immediately after reassuring me, we smash cut to her funeral scene. Even though the film tried to build its optimistic, action-oriented momentum up again, my enjoyment and enthusiasm for the movie had completely dwindled. I didn't want Gwen to die. And I still don't. I wish the film hadn't let her fall. Choice. First, I want to talk about choice in the film. More specifically, Gwen's agency at the film's climax. Gwen makes a point of directly telling Peter that she wants to help him, even though he wants her to get out of danger so she doesn't get hurt. However, in that same scene, she gets kidnapped by Green Goblin and, after a tense chase and fight, falls to her death in a clock tower. I believe, since Gwen ultimately dies, it could imply that she should not have gotten involved. She should have made a different choice, as if, in a way, it's partially her fault that she dies. Maybe, if she'd listened to Peter, she'd still be alive. Or, perhaps, the movie had her say these lines to cushion the blow of her death, thinking, well, she did things to help Peter before she died, so having her die is still okay. Personally, I think Gwen, and by extension Peter, could have had a plethora of different storylines to engage with in this sequel. Storyline changes. I know that the night Gwen Stacy died is one of the most iconic and memorable scenes in comic book history, and The Amazing Spider-Man 2 obviously took inspiration from it and revived the scene in a modern context, with Harry Osborn taking on the role of Gwen's killer. However, I think there could have been a difference in how Gwen's story could be interpreted in 2014 as compared with 1973. There could have been different storylines that dramatically shifted Gwen's and even Peter's roles in the story. The film could completely reshape its story by eliminating the Green Goblin's role entirely. What if Peter was honest with Harry about the transfusion in order for Harry not to become a villain? Harry could even be a source of good and help Peter defeat Electro with his Oscorp resources. The film could have only Electro as its villain and could have a bittersweet end where Harry dies from his illness instead of Gwen dying as collateral damage. Maybe the story could have had Gwen go to Oxford and she and Peter would have to adjust to a long-distance relationship. Or Peter could have succeeded in saving her and Gwen could have gone to Oxford alongside him. The film's end could show him adjusting to life in England while still maintaining his title as friendly neighborhood Spider-Man across the pond. We could see Gwen succeeding at Oxford, maybe implying that she would start her own scientific company. Also, if Peter went with Gwen to England, the story could set up someone replacing Peter as a similar crime fighter in New York, reinforcing the community that has grown around Spider-Man because of how he has made their world a better place. Conclusion. All in all, I believe, instead of adapting the well-known comic exactly, the film's status quo could have been shifted by letting Gwen live instead of killing her. Rather than have their romance end in suffering, the film could have let Gwen and Peter and the relationship grow outside of New York, and they could find themselves having to adjust in a new international environment. Gwen did not have to die to add pain in Peter's life. She could have lived, and they could have found joy together.